Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Rune Reading Wednesday here at the Amber Serpent. My name is Gulveig. Thank you so much for being here with me. And as is the usual, we are going to use the runes of the Elder Futhark to take a look and see what it is that we need to know to serve our best and highest good over the next week. So, as I was contemplating this Rune Reading Wednesday, it has been brought to my attention by a lot of emails and text messages from folks that, changes in the air. We have had some astrological craziness over the last couple of months. Just a couple of things to mention. We've had a blue moon, which is two full moons back to back that are in the same sign. And so we've had two full moons in Aquarius. And Aquarius always loves to shake things up. And we had Lionsgate on August 8th. And that energy, it ain't done with us, folks. It ain't done with us. Not for a long shot. So folks are feeling it. And I'm feeling it. Lots of change are in the air. And the thing is that for a lot of us, including myself, we don't know exactly what that change is. Don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. Or there might just be this feeling of there's changes, but we don't know exactly what that change even is yet. So it can feel really unsettling, right? When we know that there's change, but we don't know exactly what that looks like or how to navigate it, or what's going to happen. Even if we know what type of change is happening, we may not know the outcome yet. So I thought, let's use this Rune Reading Wednesday to ask guidance on what is it that we need to know or do over the next week to make whatever changes or challenges that we are facing to unfold in the most graceful and beneficial manner possible. Sound good? So join me. I'm of the opinion that when we set intentions together, it doesn't matter the time, if you're joining me live or if you're joining in a recording. This work doesn't know time or space. So join me in setting the intention for yourself. What is it that we need to know or do to allow the challenges and changes over the next week to unfold as gracefully and beneficially as possible? And I also like to connect with the energy of Thor, protector of the common man, son of Odin, and my personal guide for learning and seeing into the runes. Be with us. I'm going to ask for additional guidance on how might we also maneuver these changes and challenges with the most protection as possible as well. Protection, grace, and beneficial outcome. It seems like a good order. Okay. Rune pull number 1. Okay. We have 3 runes that came up at once. Tribe. I'll use protection. Thank you. It's also known as the Shaman's Rune. Bracano, death and rebirth, gestation. All right, I always do 3 pulls. Let's do rune pull number 2. I love this one. Wunyo, joy. And number 3. Okay. That's an interesting pull, is it not? All right, we have the Yew Tree, that which connects us to the other dimensions, the other realms. We have rest, or in some cases that a situation is frozen. We're going to tap into that in a second. Urus, lots of meanings with this rune. Could be vitality, manifestation. Let's take a look here in a second. All right, so let's tap into how all of these runes are playing with each other. I always see them as dancing with one another. All right, so the first thing that comes to my mind is really throughout 2020, when I was doing Rune Reading Wednesdays on Instagram and also in personal readings, it kept coming up that we are having big shifts and changes in relationship to one another and ourselves. And the very first rune that comes up is tribe. What's coming to me around that, because we have tribe, we have death and rebirth, right? And then we have this reassurance that the process is protected. And or the other thing that's coming to my mind is that for some of us, it's going to be really important that we state our boundaries. A lot of times we ask for protection, folks. And for those of us who are really spiritually inclined, codependency for a lot of us is sometimes a struggle. So the disease to please, saying yes when we really mean no, having a fear of disappointing people, all of these ways are ways in which we just kind of give away our energy, and it's how we disease our relationships with the seeds of resentment. When we are not integritous with ourselves, meaning saying yes only when we mean yes, stating how much time we're willing to give to something, and also putting our own needs as a priority, when we let go of that, we let go of our own energetic protection. So in 2020, I saw that there was a lot of shifting around that, a lot of awareness that folks were having around personal boundaries and your absolute birthright to personal sovereignty. So we may find that in this next week, some of those things that we have learned over the last 12 to 18 months might really come to fruition, in that we might see that there is a real transformation in the community that we find ourselves, whether or not that be in our job, or that be in our immediate family, or perhaps our living situation with roommates. These are folks that we spend a lot of time with, and folks that we see on a consistent basis. And so we're being called to protect ourselves, It's perfectly good to ask the guides for energetic protection, whatever it is that you talk to, angels or deities or ancestors, whoever it might be. Absolutely, call on their protection. But if we're not willing to stand up for ourselves first, then there really is only so much that they can do for us. So we're really being asked here to put ourselves first and to allow those kind of awkward instances when folks realize that the relationship with us has changed. And so then they may respond in a way that doesn't seem fair. So for example, if you're somebody who, like a lot of us, has the disease to please, we want to just make sure that everybody's really happy, and we want to take care of everybody, and we always seem to put everybody else's needs first. If we have started to learn the lesson that it's okay to say no, when we exercise that right, it might be that other people around us are really surprised. They don't know that they have to respond to us differently. So now we're putting them in a position to change how they relate to us. At first, sometimes those responses may not be what we really had hoped for. And then we might go into a cycle of like, well, maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe this really wasn't for the best. Now I'm put into an uncomfortable situation. That doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. In fact, it doesn't mean anything about you at all. All it just means is that everybody is going through growing pains at the same time, because when we change our relationships, And that actually elicits change with others around us. If negotiations can't be made where folks can respect those boundaries, if they can't respect us in general, or we might find that maybe there was an element of manipulation that played a part in how we related to these folks, then we can allow the part of Berkano, which is the death part, to let them go, to free them from the binds of our boundaries. And that's okay. So we're just stating new relationships, and all Yees is here to say it's all for the greater good, even if there's some growing pains along the way. And it's all divinely protected. So as we start kind of working these spiritual muscles to learn those new boundaries and to exercise that skill, ask for that additional spiritual support. Ask for Thor or your ancestors or Archangel Michael, whoever it might be, to have your back in cultivating that spiritual, energetic fortification, because it's rightfully yours to have. All right, and then our second rune pull is an element that has been coming up a lot for me over this last month. I know for me that this has definitely defined a lot of the themes that have been coming up, and that is joy. And this has been coming up a lot in the readings that I've been giving for folks. This joy and play is as necessary as clean air, water, and good food. It feeds the heart. It nourishes us. It nurtures us. And for a lot of folks, life has gotten really heavy. It can feel really hard. And for some folks, the heart has become weighed down with despair, perhaps. There's been a lot of grief as things are changing. And in some ways, things may never go back to exactly how they once were. And whenever big changes happen, no matter, and it doesn't have to be grief with the big G, when we lose a loved one. It can even be when perhaps we change jobs, and maybe it's for the good, and we're getting paid a lot more, but now we have to leave coworkers that we really loved. And that might cause some grief. So any change is an opportunity for the heart to grieve. What I'm getting from Munyo is give the heart a new story to fall in love with. Or at the very least, give it beauty to nurture it in a time in which it might be healing. And the joy that I'm speaking of is not just distraction of, TV or, the stuff that isn't fulfilling. Whatever it is that makes your heart feel big. That's what we need to go after. Nurture your spirit. Get out in nature. Take a walk. Have some good conversations with some friends. Have some good food that you really enjoy. Comfort food even. If you like to cook, cook. If you like to paint, paint. If there's been a hobby that really you loved but perhaps haven't revisited in a while, pick that back up again. Spend some time nurturing your spirit, the same way that you would nurture your physical body. This is a time in which we're all transforming and growing, and so joy and beauty is something that's absolutely necessary at this time. And then that brings us to the last three, which the ice rune, when that came up, Isa, I think this is actually twofold. One, yes, there are certain situations that are frozen for some folks. Some folks, maybe the change is coming, but maybe it's coming actually too slowly. That is a possibility. And if that is the case, then that is also an invitation to rest, which is the other part of Isa. So regardless if for you the change is frozen or the changes are actually have some momentum, the invitation for Isa is to make sure that you take some time out to rest. If the situation is frozen, there's no sense in banging your head up against the wall and keeping yourself busy with fidgety energy, and because that's just wasted energy. Perhaps maybe use that energy instead to go out and do something enjoyable and connect with Wunyo, joy and beauty, in order to nurture the spirit. The changes are happening at the pace that is perfect for your particular situation, whether or not it seems that way or not. A lot of times it happens where things seem to move slowly, there's lack of clarity, and we're frustrated. And then we look back and we realize that that time where we felt that pause actually ended up being a real gift. And I think that this time right now might be one of those times. This is an invitation to pause and to connect spiritually. This is the Yew Tree Rune, and it is associated with connecting what the elders, the ancients, believed was the 9 dimensions of the cosmos that was connected by the world tree. And in modern day, and if we want to connect it to some other ancient teachings, this is also associated with the spine. So this is a invitation to take care of yourself energetically, and to delve into maybe some esoteric kind of subjects. Taking a look at chakras, kundalini, pranic breath, so the energetic breathing, learning how to connect with ourselves on a deeper level, on an energetic level, and to take some time out to connect with whoever our spiritual guidance is. Like I said, angels or deities, ancestors, fae folk, elementals, like whoever it is that you might be working with. And then that brings us to Urus. So Urus is reminding us to put our health and our vitality first, kind of similar to some of the messages that were coming through with Wunyo. Wunyo was reminding us to connect with ourselves on a spiritual heart level, beauty and joy, nurture ourselves. And Urus is saying, take care of yourself physically. And I think that that's also connecting with the rest aspect of Isa, making sure that we are taking a lot of time to rest. And essentially, to a certain extent this week, we're being invited to just kind of let go. To let go of having to know everything and to control everything. There's certain aspects of the elements that are in play right now that are still in flux to the point where they're going to reveal themselves in time, and some of those things we're not meant to know yet because it would then affect our journey right now. We're not meant to know everything all at once. And that connection with spirit that we were talking about before, there it is what's going to help us manifest. So the law of attraction is the sacred feminine way of manifestation. There's 2 different channels of energy that are associated with manifestation and letting go. One is Ida, the sacred feminine, and Pingala, the sacred masculine. And these are also found in our energy body. And Pingala also has a way of manifestation that's more action oriented, and this is the way of manifesting that we're typically taught how to do, like, pull yourself up from your bootstraps, doing equals productivity, do all the things. And then the sacred feminine is the law of attraction. We really need to have both, but the key is the right action at the right time. And before we are called to action, we're meant to put into play the law of attraction so that we can magnetize the perfect environment and context for that right action. So right now is kind of that calm before the trumpets blare and it's time to take action. And that's why I think that we have kind of like this gift right now where take the time to rest, Because it might be that in the very near future, when we're being called to action and it's the right time for the action, that we might need to really dig deep for our energetic reserves because there might be a lot to do. So it's okay if right now things might seem kind of mucky and be changing really fast, but at the same time seem like things are moving extraordinarily slow. Both of those energies are actually at play right now. And it's not just you. Astrologically, that's also what's going on. And it's okay because we have symptoms of letting go, releasing, and clearing at the same time that new beginnings are coming up. And things right now are just in flux. So to wrap up, this is a really good time to just to just sit back and to reconnect with what makes you happy. Reconnect with what makes you happy and set boundaries so that you can have the amount of time and space that you need to nurture your soul and nurture your body and to spend time doing things that really make you feel fulfilled and connect you with beauty, love, and joy. Anything that feels like it's more of a shallow obligation, those are the things that we can set boundaries with. And what I mean by shallow obligation is that it's not an obligation as far as like, taking care of our kids or an obligation to, follow through on certain big commitments. But the shallow obligations as, friends calling us up and wanting to hang out, and yet maybe we're exhausted and we would be better off staying home and reading a good book. That's what I'm talking about when I mean shallow obligation. So take care of you. Take care of you this week. You deserve it. You deserve all of the love. You deserve all of the joy. You deserve to be a priority. Your body is that sacred temple. Give it what it needs. Take a good bath. Take a good walk. Eat nurturing food. Take care of you this week. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining me for this Rune Reading Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.